Hills Have Eyes 2. Action. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another 31 Days of Horror. I already did the first Hills Have Eyes, so now we're going to do the Hills Have Eyes Part 2, the remake of Part 2. I think there's an original Part 2 as well, and this is yet another. But this one is also written by Wes Craven and Jonathan Craven, and this movie is directed by a different director than the first remake. This one's directed by Martin Weiss, or as the Germans would pronounce it, Weiss. And because it's a new director, this one does feel a little bit different than the first one. The tone and just the whole feel of the movie is quite different. But this movie is about National Guardsmen training in New Mexico 2 years after the events of the first one. This movie does acknowledge that that film exists. It's in canon, but they don't explain where all these other dozens of people who showed up from. Because after the first movie, there was only like 2 people left. There was the old fat woman and then this guy. Well, there was one daughter and a son, but they were very little, and this is 2 years later, and now we got a bunch of grown adults. So that's just not explained at all, and I hate when movies don't explain shit that need explaining, and that's a negative for this movie. But right off the bat, this movie just opens up with childbirth, and holy crap, it's disgusting. Basically, it just shows you that they're capturing women left and right and impregnating them, trying to repopulate their fucked up mutants. But yes, alright, let's just go over the negatives. Alright, so you got these mutants, and they're nowhere near as creepy or as well as the first movie, with the exception of one, the chameleon one. They actually have mutants that are like chameleons. They actually blend in with their environment, and I believe this chameleon mutant was played by Derek Mears, who plays Jason in the remake. So that's always a positive to have Derek Mears, but this movie's mutants, they just weren't up to par with the first one. I like the first one better. It was a lot more grittier and disgusting than this one. They got just a weird big guy who is actually played by the same guy who played Pluto in the first one. So you got the same mutant actor in this one playing a much bigger one who has like semen looking snot dripping out of his nose. It's fucking weird. But negative for this movie is like you got all these just National Guardsmen and they all act like, a couple of them act like they're Rambo, and the dialogue's just bad between them. It's like they try too hard to make them sound like very testosterone filled, like trying to prove their manhood and saying manly shit. And then they're just making idiotic decisions left and right. You got this woman who breaks away from the group a couple of times. It's like, why are you breaking away? They keep doing stupid shit. I guess that's something that's always in horror movies, is characters making dumb decisions, but these characters made some dumb decisions, and it was irritating. They introduced this liberal character at the beginning who says, like, the president lies, and I'm anti-war, but then why are you joining the National Guard when you sound like somebody who wouldn't like a gun? It's like, why do you want to join the National Guard or the Army, or wherever the hell you're joining? I don't know what the hell they're joining. They're supposed to be National Guardsmen, but then they say that they're in the Army, so I don't know.
Not all war, Sarge. I just think that the president lies too much.
All presidents lie, asshole. That's their fucking job.
Yes, sir.
No president has told the truth since Truman. And do you know what he said?
No, Sarge.
He said that the buck stops here.
But whatever branch they're from or training to be in, they are shitty-ass aims. And I guess this is day 1 of their training, because holy crap, they suck at aiming. You got a character who literally shoots his own CO, and it's like, goddamn, I hate this character now. When's he gonna die? Soon? I hope. The third act in this movie, when they're going through the mines at the end, it just, I swear to God, it's longer. That whole sequence being in that mine's longer than the third act of Scream in the house. This movie just goes through this mine, and you just keep going to different parts, and it's like the whole layout of it is like impossible to wrap your head around. It's like, well, how do they end up here, and then now they're up here, and this person's over here? It's like a maze. I don't know where the hell they're heading. I don't know why it's dragging out so long. It just dragged out, them being in the mine. It was kind of boring at some parts. You got this character who's just constantly just bitch, moaning, complaining, acting like everyone else is dead. Let's just leave. He's a selfish asshole throughout the whole movie. He never changes. This movie just doesn't know how to capture the same tension that the first one was able to do, and with this great character as this one, is definitely the opposite. It's like, it doesn't build the same tension. You don't really care too much about these people. A lot of them are just generic shitheads. You don't care. They at least try with one of them to give her some story. They insert that she has a son, and she has like this little video on her phone with the son saying, I love you. So they at least try with her. And then the Napoleon, he kind of has some character development, even though he's a chicken shit. he ends up redeeming himself. So at least they try with a couple of characters. It's like this movie focused on a couple of characters and then said, fuck the rest, we're going to kill them. So let's just keep them shitheads the whole time. And then there's a part where a couple of our main characters, they just fall through this hole and they fall at least 30, 40 feet with giant rocks and rubble falling on top of them. And then they just immediately, just after a couple seconds, stand up on their feet and start walking normally, like they did not just fall 40 feet. Just perfectly normal. It's like, if they survive that fall, why don't the other two just jump down and be like, alright, I'm going to join you, seeing as how you guys took it so well. And then you get this mutant who is the good one. They try to imitate the good girl mutant from the first movie to have a good guy mutant in this movie. At the beginning, he can barely speak English. And then at the end of the movie, he's speaking perfect English, but like a caveman. Like, you come, follow, let's go. At the beginning, he couldn't say a fucking word to warn somebody when it was completely inconvenient for that character. But now it's convenient for these people that he can speak perfect English now.
Run away? Run away?
But the positives for this movie is it's a lot more gorier. They definitely upped the gore with the body parts laying around at the end and people just getting literally just ripped in half, like just their legs bent backwards, getting dragged through small holes. The deaths are a little bit more brutal than they were in the first one. You didn't get too many deaths in the first one, but in this one, it definitely ups the count. So if you're a slasher fan for that reason, you might like this one better than the first one, but I just do not like this one better than the first one. I like that they keep the score from the first movie. They keep it, but they barely play it in this movie. They use it at the end, and that's basically it. They use it at the end, and they use it at the beginning, and they kind of sprinkle it here and there, but it's like so low you can't even really hear it. And just like the first movie, we get another Evil Lives On ending that's kind of reminiscent of the first one, where just somebody's watching them from afar and then closes the laptops, and it's over. It's like, great, Evil Lives On. Another great horror ending. You get Danielle Alonso from The Collector in Wrong Turn 2. She was the one whose character was actually somewhat building in this movie. She actually had somewhat of a background. She was the one of the few that you cared about. But yeah, I just don't have any good things to say about it. I guess you could say that the minds were designed well, but now I'm just grasping at good things to say. This movie kind of bored me in the third act. It was just kind of, I was watching the same thing happen over and over and over again. They were constantly just making stupid decisions. They were leaving their rifles behind, leaving this behind, leave their rope behind. And oh, what happened to our rope? Oh, what happened to our guns? Oh, yeah, you left them behind you because you're stupid. But with all that being said, I'd say when it comes to The Hills Have Eyes 2, this is a movie probably just worth one watch, so I would just rent it at Redbox. My Mr. had an award for best kill will go to Mickey. After hurting his ankle, he hops back to base only to get his ankle dragged right through a small ass hole and then have his other leg completely bent backwards. And the brutality and the sound design of this kill is definitely painful and agonizing to watch. And the Mr. Twig award will go to Delmar, who got shot a couple of times by one of the mutants who was blind. You got shot by a blind guy, my friend. It's not going to look too good on your tombstone. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you like this video at all, you can hit that like button and hit that subscribe button by clicking on my cartoon face in 5 seconds for more. And until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.